ahead.
Man, that gets me pumped every single time. How about you, Mark?
Sometimes I just get lost in the dancing.
I'm right there with you. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Reload Show, Real Estate by Loan Officers. I am your co-host today, Sean Richard. I am here with the infamous, or maybe just famous, Mark Sullivan at Approve with Mark. What's going on, Mark?
I tell you what, it's been a pretty good week. Let's just let's jump into some wins and losses, huh?
Straight into wins and losses. Okay, we can do that. Now, some of you may have noticed that we're missing the third amigo today, Candido Diaz. You know, he's here in memory. We do miss him. He's not going to make it today, but we wish him well with his endeavors this morning. So, wins and losses. You want to kick us off, bud?
That was quite to say somebody's here in memory. Like, whoa, Candido's still alive. He's just at the golf tournament.
It's his golf game that may perish today. How about that?
But all yeah, right on. I mean, wins. Hey, let's do it. Applications are up. Been taking a lot of them. Phone calls. I've been really good about staying consistent with the phone calls that I'm making, not only to potential referral partners, but also past clients. Really having strong conversations about what they want to do in the future, so that whenever the economic setting allows them to, we can move on it really fast, and we have a game plan for that. So those are really good. Actually, I've got people that put in applications over the weekend are already putting offers in on homes. So they're motivated, they're ready. They understand kind of where we are right now, and that they're in a really good position to do so. Losses, I've been terrible at posting on social media, so we'll call that a loss, since I usually catch a lot of flack for not giving too many losses. Social media posting would definitely be that.
Fair enough. Man, it's been a great week as well for me. The follow-up has come in super strong. So last week I shared that I was at a Tom Ferry event, met a title rep, and that turned into a class that I ended up teaching. Now the class was last Wednesday. So I taught this class, kind of impromptu. Title reps like, hey, I need you to bail me out, teach this class. We literally met each other once for 10 minutes. And so I got to teach this class in front of a real estate group here locally in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And the class went phenomenally. We had about 8 agents show up to the class. I taught, optimizing their Google business profile. And after the class, the office manager and I started chatting about some of the other classes that I teach. And she said, we've got to have you back in October to teach another class. And so that happenstance meeting at a Tom Ferry Summit 2 weeks ago turned into a class, turned into a recurring opportunity to take incredible care of some agents here in my local market. On top of that, this past Tuesday, today's Tuesday. Yesterday, I was doing my follow-up for the class and reached out to all of the participants, all the agents, and I was able to connect with 5 of them and set up one-on-one so I can learn a little bit more about their business, how I can help them grow, and see if we would be a great partnership. So all from that meeting originally at that Tom Ferry event. So huge win there. My loss is that, I'm going to keep it light and not so fluffy day. My loss is that I have not had breakfast yet. I am starving. And so you could say that my second win of the day is going to be the egg and smoked Gouda sandwich that I make right after the show tonight.
That sounds delicious.
A little bit of salt, pepper, some sliced tomatoes thinly. Oh man, it's going to be fantastic. All right. So actually, here's my loss. I'll tell you what, my loss is, man, I've been running all over the earth trying to keep up with everything that's going on between business and personal and family. It's been a lot. And I feel, as we a lot of times always do in this industry, I feel like I'm being pulled in 8,000 different directions. And my loss is really, I've been struggling to really stay on top of everything and keep all the plates spinning, so to speak. So with that, let's transition into today's topic. We're talking about how busy our industry and lives get. You know, the title of the show today is fitting it all in, and I'm definitely struggling with this myself. Mark, kind of talk a little bit about how you balance, and I have an interesting take on balance. But talk to us about how you balance everything that's going on with your work life, with all the things that you've had going on personally, man.
Yeah, for sure. Now I'll admit, this is something that I have eternally struggled at, right? And I think in talking with a lot of fellow loan officers, I think it's something that a lot of people, if not most of us, struggle with. It's the peaks and valleys. You get busy and you got to figure out how to fit everything into the day. And especially you go into planning stages, right? And you're like, I'm going to do this, and this. And you always overshoot what you can handle. And all of a sudden, like a conversation me and Sean were having the other day is you're doing all of this stuff to bring in new business. And then whenever that new business comes, something's going to drop off. You're either going to stop all that originating activity that you were doing to bring in the business, so you can actually do the business itself. And honestly, it's a roller coaster ride that a lot of us stay on. For me, and I know a lot of people can't do this or won't do this, but for me, it's about setting the stage very early in the day. I prefer to get up ridiculously early. I like to get up at 4 or 5 o'clock. If I'm super busy at work, I get up at between 4 and 4:30, and I knock out about an hour or 2 hours worth of work. And the reason I do that, and that number can be 6 o'clock for somebody, it can be 7 o'clock for somebody, just depending on what's going on in your personal life, right? If you don't have kids, you got a lot of open time. If you do have kids, you have to figure out when to do that to where there's nobody that's going to bother you. And I think for me, it's important to knock out about an hour to 2 hours worth of work whenever nobody can bother me. And if that means getting up early and doing all that work while people are sleeping, um, or it just means turning off all contact to the outside world while you do that. Like if you're like, hey, I'm not working until 8 o'clock, and that's how I do my work-life balance. That's fine. But how about from 8 to 10? Cut off all communication. Don't open your email and knock out all the work, all the work that you don't need anybody else to do. Knock it all out right in the beginning. And that's something that's extremely important to my process. What about you, Sean?
So, Mark, let me throw us a curveball, and if we
Mhm.
can, I'd like us to get a little bit vulnerable on today's show, and maybe open up. I'm sure there's a lot of loan officers watching. There's a lot of real estate agents watching that they've got so many things going on personally for them. They've got some craziness going on in their business. And so if you're okay with it, I think it'd be cool if we kind of shared a kind of behind the scenes look at some of the things that we've got going on. And so that way, maybe if, a loan officer, a real estate agent out there might hear that and go, wow, like I was the only one dealing with all that stuff. So like, are you okay to share like what's going on in your world that is, that you're having to balance all these spinning plates?
Yeah, for sure. It begins and it ends with my son, right? Yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there be like, yeah, he's only got one kid, and I spend a lot of time focusing on that one kid. And for me, that's more important than anything. So the spinning plates that I have to hold up, I have to do so to not be a detriment to spending time being a parent to Dylan, right? So, people are like, hey, if you got all this stuff to do, stay later. Stay later is not an option for me. Stay late because at a certain time, I go pick up my son from school. And then for the next 4 or 5 hours while he's off of school and before he goes to bed, that's my number one focus. I'm making dinner. I'm spending time with him. We like to play video games together. We do his homework. Everything surrounds that. So I don't have the option um, of working past say 4 o'clock, right? And so the option is either get up early or stay late. And you got to keep the plate spinning, right? Because you have to make sure your business is doing well, but not for me. It won't be at the detriment to my ability to parent. So for me, I think that's the biggest obstacle with my business is that this early evening and late evening, it's just not going to happen for me.
No, I love that. And you've created, or you've tweaked your schedule to allow you to focus on what's important without completely letting your business go into disarray, which is really cool. So, for me, I feel like I've some days it feels like I've just got so much. So a little bit insight in my life. So I've got 3 kids. For those of you tuning in for the first time, I've got 3 kiddos, 9, 7, and 5. They're each in somewhere between 2 to 4 activities throughout the week. And so I'm playing a role in taking them to that, whether it's soccer practice, whether it's, kids Ninja Warrior class, whether it's piano or dance or all these things. So we've got that going on. My wife and I recently bought an investment property that I am working on doing all of the things to get ready. I got to be, across town to sit and wait for delivery of a refrigerator later today. Working on getting the maintenance schedule for that, setting that up in the property management software that I have. On top of that, running my business, trying to constantly, teach classes, generate business. I've got a couple of loan officers on my team. So, continuing to pour into them, coaching, managing, making sure that they have the tools to be successful. And then, oh, by the way, I kind of want to have a successful marriage. So I need to make sure that I'm spending time, with my wife, making sure that she feels important, feel loved. And there are days and times where it feels like a lot. And one of the ways that I've really started to approach it, and I would say over the last 6 months, is I've had to start getting exceptionally good at setting expectations and saying no. And I'll give you a perfect example. So the real estate office that I taught the class at, that's going to have me back out in October, in October, towards the end of the month. They're like, great, we'd love to have you back out. And I was like, hey, would you like me to go ahead and create like a flyer that you could print, distribute, things like that? They're like, absolutely, that would be fantastic. I was halfway through a sentence that said, great, I'll put that together and have it to you tomorrow. I stopped myself and I said, hey, wait a second. This is towards the end of October. I deleted and I responded. I said, hey, great, I'll put that together this week and get it out to you. And so I'm notorious in the past for giving myself deadlines that are faster than I really need to accomplish things. And it puts me under the gun or under pressure where now I don't feel like I can get everything done. So setting proper expectations has been huge for me in being able to, and I'll go into my take on balance. So I heard this quite some time ago, but there's no such thing as balance. Work-life balance is a myth. It really needs to be work-life harmony. Those two aspects of our lives have to work in conjunction with each other, because if it's balanced, that means we're spinning 2 plates and we're hoping one of them doesn't fall. Whereas if they're working in harmony, they're complementary to each other, and it's creating a better overall life, stress level, things like that. So setting expectations and saying no to things that I really don't need to be putting my time and energy into has been 2 of my key points.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put that. I don't know if I've heard it said exactly like that before, but That is good. If you're balancing, that takes a lot of effort, to balance in what you're doing, and keeping things in harmony are really good. I want to go back to what you said a little bit ago, which I think is a really important, because it's about setting proper expectations with people, and I think the key word there is proper, and it's not promising the world to somebody. It's not saying I'm going to do this, and this. It is that, but it's doing it to where you can hit all of those guidelines, all of those deadlines that you're creating for yourself. Don't say I'm going to have this out. Like if it's 7 o'clock at night, don't say I'm going to have this out to you before I go to bed. Right? If that's what you do, that's awesome. You've over delivered. But there's so many things that could come up. It's way better to say, hey, by the time you wake up in the morning, you'll have this in your email. And it's setting proper expectations, and it's not promising the world. It's not, hey, it's loan officers are really guilty about this, but like it's not, you're on the phone with somebody, they haven't applied yet. You're like, okay, if you get your application in by 1 o'clock this afternoon, I'll make sure we get your pre-approval turned around same day. Well, there's so many things that we don't know yet. There's so many things that could stop that from happening. So at 4 o'clock, when you can't turn that pre-approval around, you set expectations that you really didn't need to set. Can you hit those goals? Absolutely. Did you need to set it like that to where if you're just a little bit behind on it, now all of a sudden you have to make up for missing expectations that you put in their head that they never even had to begin with?
Well, and it's opportunity cost, right? I've heard a number of coaches over my life say everything that you say yes to means you're saying no to everything else. And so the moment that we say, somebody's like, oh, well, I need to get this pre-approval, right? It's Saturday. Hey, I got this client that wants to put an offer and we got to have a pre-approval like ASAP. The moment you say yes to that, then everything else that you either had planned or that could come up is ultimately means it's a no, right? You're trading activities, you're trading time, and being able to manage the proper expectations to ensure that we're spending our time in the most valuable place. Mark, let me ask you a question. How many times have you had somebody reach out at the last minute on a weekend for a pre-approval that turned into they ended up going somewhere else and they just needed a pre-approval from someone, didn't matter if it was you or not?
All too often. Yeah, for sure. I'd say that's probably pretty common for a lot of us, especially right now when business is down. You're trying to get as much as you can out there.
Yeah. And so those type of scenarios put us in a position where we're inclined to say yes because, oh, I need the business, or, oh, I want to make my realtor partner happy. And I think the solution there is a combination of having a conversation with all parties and setting those expectations. Hey, let me ask more questions to find out exactly what's going on. When was the last time that you spoke with a lender about a pre-approval? Oh, well, my loan officer's not available right now, so I needed to get a pre-approval. Okay, well, that sounds like you've got a loan officer problem, not you've got a pre-approval problem. And so understanding more details about the scenario and explaining to all the different parties, or communicating to all the different parties, to really figure out, okay, what exactly is going on? What's the appropriate action? Instead of just like, okay, I'll jump on it. And real estate agents, and if, all of you real estate agents out there as well, this is a common thing in your side of the industry as well, because a client calls and wants to go see a home. And what do most real estate agents do? They drop everything. Oh yeah, let me go take care of that for you. And then you show them the home, you get in the home, and you spend 30 seconds in the home and like, yeah, no, I don't like this one. And it's like, well, I drove 20 minutes across town to show you this house. And it turned out to be a complete waste of everyone's time. And so asking more questions, but with the end goal of setting the right expectations, I think is such a critical component of helping us fit as much in our day as possible. And And then I'll go back to this saying no. I'm starting to find that the more I say no, the more good things come my way. I had a client the other day that his credit scores are in the low 500s. And I've told him a few different times, hey, we need to get your credit scores up before we can have a solution. He's looking for home equity, which is tougher, than a purchase at a low credit score. And I gave him some resources to help build the score up. Well, he emails me over the weekend. He's like, hey, when are you available next week for a call so we can talk about what solutions are available? And old me would have said, oh, well, looked at my calendar. Okay, I can talk on Tuesday at 3:00. Current me said, you know what? This is not a good use of my time. I do want to help him, but it doesn't make sense for me to spend time on a phone call with him when there's steps that need to be taken before there are any solutions. And I've even articulated this to him in the past. So I politely messaged him back and I said, Mr. Client, we've really got to get your credit score up by 50 to 80 points before we've got some opportunity for solution for what you're looking for. Leverage the tools that I've provided you and let's work on getting that credit up. As soon as we do that, let's have a conversation. So I didn't, I wasn't like, hey, I'm not willing to have a conversation with you. I'm saying, hey, we've got to do this first before it makes sense to have a conversation. And the saying no to that gave me more bandwidth to take on other things in my day, which ultimately led to more fruitful activities.
Absolutely. And I think that what I've really learned is, and not to harp on the subject of prospects that are struggling to get pre-approved, right? But we all have them. They're good to get, right? We need to give them just as much time as we need to be able to get them to the point of pre-approval, but they can't be at the very top of our stack, right? And going back, what you were just talking about goes back to what I had mentioned before. When you set improper expectations before they even apply, you put yourself in a position to make them the tip of your spear and make them a top priority, even if they come back and it's like a 530 credit score, or they have judgments, or they need to do something that's going to take time for them to get pre-approved. You haven't made them your top priority. You can make them a priority without making them your top priority, and you set proper expectations of, okay, after you apply, we're going to go over it, and then you basically telegraph, we're going to then figure out if you're approved or if we need to make a plan. So when you pull that application, if they're approved, you're off to the races and you're ready to make them top priority. You get them approved. You show them all their opportunities. You get them ready to go make offers on a house, and you get them back in the hands of the referral partner that sent them over to you. But if they don't qualify, I always say it's not a no. It's either a yes or sometime soon.
Not right now.
Or not right now. And then you pull that application. It's going to be a minute. It's going to take you time to come up with that plan for them. That way they're already focused on, oh, okay, now we got to come up with a game plan. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to do that over, the course of this week. By the time this week ends, you and me are going to get back on a conversation, and we're going to see what we can get done with that. And if it's Tuesday, that gives you a few days to find some free time to work them in. You're still taking great care of that client. And what you need to be doing right now to help the clients that are approved or to bring in more clients doesn't suffer because you feel like you have to make them a top priority when really you can get it done later in the week. I think is a really big thing for a lot of people struggling with time management.
So Mark, I'm going to drop this quote, and this hit me like a ton of bricks and I don't know who said it or where I heard it first. But this quote really made me think about how I dole out my time. So everyone deserves your kindness. Not everyone deserves your time. Okay.
That's true.
We
I think
can
that was
be,
Tupac.
it was Tupac. Everyone deserves your kindness. Not everyone deserves your time. Just because somebody wants our time does not mean that they absolutely should get it. There's tons of pulls on our time that it just doesn't justify to give them our time. We're people pleasers, right? We want to say yes. Oh yeah, I'll take care of you. Oh yeah, I'll take care of you. Oh yeah, I'll take care of you. But we've got to be confident when we need to say no, and we can do so without being mean, right? Like saying no to my time is not me being mean or me, rejecting somebody. It's like, hey, that's not something that I have the bandwidth for right now. So everyone deserves your kindness. Not everyone deserves your time. Love that quote. Mark.
Absolutely.
Anything that you want to leave us with today? I think I've loved the conversation. Phenomenal topic, especially something that I struggle with on a weekly, monthly basis. Any parting thoughts for our audience today?
Yeah, just we've said a lot of things, but take care of you first. Make sure that you are operating the way you need to operate. Whether that's exercising in your free time, whether that's getting up early and making sure that all of the little things in the day are handled and taken care of, so that you can, no matter what happens during the day, because we all know once 9 o'clock hits, the day could turn into complete chaos of people calling you and yada yada. You control the first part of your day.
It's a fast.
So you control your part. You control the beginning of your day, or you control a lot of things about how your day is going to go, but you don't control the day. So get a lot of that stuff done. Make sure you're mentally there, and make sure you're mentally ready to take on those challenges. And it really just sets you up for success in the long run.
And I'll leave us with this, something we didn't dive into today that I think could be a topic for another show is routines. And so bookending your day and both your actual day and your work day, right? Your morning routine, your pre-work routine, your post-work routine, and then your nightly routine. What do those look like? And those are phenomenal guideposts to really set yourself up for success. So again, I think something we could really dive into another show on building powerful routines in our days and our weeks. But we'll save that for another episode. So for Mark Sullivan and myself, Sean Richard, I want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in today. We are here every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, those California people, and turning in from time to time. But we are here to help make sure that we are providing amazing insight and clarity into the real estate and mortgage markets. Thanks so much for joining us today. Have an incredible rest of your week. Take care.